Hi, I'm Azra.
And hi, I'm Theandra.
And you're listening to the A&T Friendship Diaries. What's up, y'all? And welcome to another episode of The Originals. So tonight we are reviewing episodes 13, 14, and 15, which were three dope ass episodes.
Dope. I cried on one. I'm talking about shed, I probably say about 5-6 tears, I'm real hard, so it take a lot to make me cry, but when I do,
I wonder if we cried in the same place, because I cried.
We shall see.
Yes, ma'am. So episode 13 starts off with Monique waking up inside of the coffin while, what's the chick's name? Sabine is doing,
AKA Celeste.
AKA Celeste is doing a tour of the graveyard. We see Monique waking up, and then she starts kicking out the bricks and everything so that she can come out. That's how it starts off.
And the people thought it was all part of the tour or whatever, but this mug was really busting up out the grave.
Correct.
See, I couldn't have been there because I'd have shot her, because I'm like, she a zombie. No.
Correct. So I personally do not like Monique.
I don't like witches.
Yeah, we don't like the witches, but I definitely don't like Monique's ass. I hate that she woke the hell up.
Bruh, I don't like. But guess
her mama gone, her auntie gone, her auntie Sophie. So just be there with them. Be an ancestor.
Right. Well, we're gonna get to her auntie. But guess who I don't like?
Who don't?
Just as much as the witches. I can't stand Marcel. I want the one.
Why we been on Marcel's?
Straight up, I want the one. Bruh, he can get it.
Dare I ask what Marcel did in any of the 3 episodes that we're reviewing that has you upset with him, or should we just kind of wait until we get to it?
Let's wait. We'll get into it.
You gonna remind us?
I'm gonna remind y'all.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. Let's see. Bastina, she makes an appearance because she was dead. So she's one of the 3 witches that got up.
Mm-hmm.
It was Genevieve, Tunde, and Bastina. That's who Celeste resurrected in the place of the Harvest Girls. And Bastina puts a hex on the priest. What's his name? Uncle Norman? What's his name?
I can't even think of his name.
I can't even think of his name. Bruh, yeah. Oops. She puts a hex on Cammy's uncle.
Father Kieran.
Father Kieran, that's correct. Who is also Cammy's uncle.
Yes.
What you feel about Bastina putting a hex on Father
Kieran? She a witch.
I mean,
she a witch.
Yeah.
So I don't like her. And then that's why I don't like the witches, because it's like they have no respect for nobody. They just want what they want. They don't care if they killing kids. They don't care if they putting hexes on priests. They don't care if it's like they don't care at all.
Correct.
It's like they have no moral code.
That's a good reason not to like the witches, because they don't seem to live by some.
They seem entitled. They seem like they feel like they should be at the top of the factions.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree
when
with
the
that.
reason why y'all in this whole mess is because y'all started it. It was a witch that created the vampires. It was a witch that created the originals. The very thing that you're fighting.
I mean, but that just goes to show how powerful the witches are, and that might be the reason why they feel entitled. It was a witch that created vampires.
Yeah, but
the witches used to run New Orleans. New Orleans used to be theirs.
But it goes to show how they're not as all powerful as they think they are. Because the thing about magic is you can't predict the repercussions. You can't use it they use it with free will and don't care about the consequences. And that's why you're in the situation that you're in, because obviously you don't understand the power that you hold and you don't know how to use it. And
so you think the witches is just out here reckless?
They reckless. Now, I'm not mad at them for creating the vampires. Thank you, witches. That's probably the best thing that y'all have ever done in your whole existence is created the vampires.
Thank you, witches.
That's right. Funny. And that was even a mess up.
Yeah,
it was a screwed up spell.
It was. poor whatever their mama's name is. Yeah, she definitely didn't do a good job. But nevertheless, they here and they're here and they're proud and they're saying it loud. Like
Oh, I can't stand them.
they want to be recognized right now.
And they got this little ugly little blade that Tunde done empowered them with.
Right. So that's where we ended last week's episode is with Celeste having the daga,
The Daga.
as you called it, that had all of the essence of every vampire that he had killed. And then Celeste sacrificed Tunde with said dagger. And now Tunde's spirit is a part of the dagger. And this dagger is reaping havoc all through episodes 13 and 14. Like the dagger is clearly nothing to be played with.
Nothing.
You see what it does to him.
Uh,
It makes like little spider veins. First of all, if you get stabbed with the dagger, the whole dagger go into your body.
yes.
That shit is freaky by itself.
And then you're tormented.
Correct.
It's your worst hell.
Every time Klaus gets daggered in these episodes,
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
heart breaks. Because you know,
damn.
look, I love me some Klaus.
I know.
Like, I understand him. I think he is I think the reason why I relate to Klaus so much is because I just feel him. And I feel like me and him are alike. Now, I'm not going to say I'll be out here ripping people's heart out if I was a vampire. But what I'm saying is, I understand
how he is.
how he is.
Yeah.
He's emotional and he reacts.
He is very emotional.
Which I think that is human. Like, that's all of us. I mean, how many times have we literally like
done
murdered people in our brains?
Done something out of emotion?
Exactly.
I mean, I get it.
But
I get it. Okay, so when episode 13 comes on, and I don't know if I said it, but episode 13 is titled Crescent City. Somewhere during the beginning of when it comes on, they're in church. They're listening to Father Karen do a little sermon because the church is now open back up. So everybody's there. And Marcel is looking around and he thinks that he sees a witch from his past.
mm-hmm.
And that's because nobody knows that Genevieve is up and running and that Bastian, her, that she's up and running. All they know is that Tunde is up and running. So Marcel sees Genevieve, who he knows from shit. I think it was like the 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't have a good relationship.
No, no, and it's his past literally coming to hunt.
Yeah, definitely. Good though, because I mean you don't like him anyway.
I don't like him anyway. But I have wrote some stuff down in here. First of all, I didn't feel sad when Sophie left because Sophie stabbed my boo.
Oh,
she the one that daggered Klaus.
Yeah,
because they gave it to Camille, which I couldn't remember. I was like, Camille, please don't do that. Yeah, don't cross Klaus like that.
That is how the episode.
And then when he turned his back to her, I was like, baby, no.
Yes,
but she gave him the dagger. I was like, ooh, only for Sophie.
Well, okay, so Klaus, let's talk about how Sophie is even able to dagger Klaus. So Genevieve goes to the bar and meets Cammy and makes Cammy an offer and says, if you can put this dagger in Klaus, we'll take the spell, the hex, off your uncle. And Cammy takes the dagger. And this scene was so, I don't know, to me it just
How'd you feel? What you would have done? Because see, last time you was like, what other choice did Haley have?
No, you're right.
And I'm saying Haley should have had the same. That's why I like Camille. Right.
Yeah.
Because she's 100.
She should have had the same energy as Cammy. Because Cammy does take the dagger. She meets Klaus in the church. And then she gives Klaus the dagger and tells Klaus, Genevieve the witch wanted me to dagger you, but if I'm gonna pick a side, I'm gonna be on the winning side. So here goes the dagger. Because Cammy already knows that with Klaus, victory is is
Victory
near.
is mine.
For sure. So yeah, she gives it to him. Well, I know you was gassed. Like I could.
Bruh, I
I
was
know you was.
so gassed. I
I
was
know
like,
you was.
that's what I'm talking about. Put some respect on his name.
Yeah,
That's Nick Klaus Michelson,
it
okay?
is. It is. And Kimmy, she know.
Yes.
Your smile right now says it all. Yeah, she picked the right side. I don't disagree with her that. She says, I like her little quote, she or her little saying. She says to Klaus when she hands him the dagger, if there is a war going on, I want to be on the winning side. And there's definitely a war going on.
Definitely.
There's a war going on
Oh,
between the
hell
humans.
about to break loose.
All hell is about to break loose. There's a war going on between the humans, the werewolves, the witches, and the vampires. Is that all of them?
That's it.
All four?
Yep.
Yeah.
All of them.
Where you picking?
You know I'm team vamp. I like werewolf too, but since Klaus is both of them, I'm team hybrid.
Your team hybrid?
I'm team
One
hybrid.
person.
Look,
Your team
Nick
one
Klaus, I
person.
ride or die for Nick.
You know what? We definitely got to see a lot more of their werewolves. Starting even in episode 13, because
Yep.
episode 13 is
Jackson.
where Haley
Woo!
throws a party at the plantation
Come on, Jackson.
and invites her family. And
Yes, for
yes,
the one night. Well, it ain't even a night. They get a couple of hours.
they get a couple of hours
where
where
they're in
where
human
they're
form.
human, yeah. And the scene starts off. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, why the fuck is she hanging laundry at night? When she was hanging laundry, because they went from werewolves to human form and they had no clothes.
Yeah, they was gonna
But
be
the
that. I
very
knew that.
first
but
time, the very first time I watched the originals, I was real confused. Like, I thought she was throwing a party.
No.
But in knowing that now, I think it's such a sweet scene. Like, I think it's very caring. It just goes to who Haley is as a person. Because I likes Haley.
And imagine though, that night she has this wolf that she sees every night in the shadows that she know is always there. He's always looking out for her. He's always protecting her. He's always just there. It's like her. He's like her comfort. Like she feels
Yeah.
safe, but she does not know what he looks like because he's in constant wolf form.
Right.
So she's also excited to see like who is this knight in shining armor. I finally get to put a face to the wolf eyes.
Right.
And I thought
Such
that
big
was beautiful.
eyes. Yeah, it was. And that's when we meet Jackson. And by your smile, by my smile, if you can't hear me smiling, we love us some Jackson.
Man,
He's
Jackson,
fine.
he fine. He like Paul Bunyan. Like Paul
That
Bunyan
hair.
fine. Yes.
That hairline. Okay, that hair is thick like a damn wolf. You better be thick.
I wonder why he got such a good coat. I guess being in wolf form all them days,
I don't know.
eating all that
but
red meat, but I don't know what he doing, but
good.
he looked good.
Yeah, they definitely picked the right person to play
And then
him.
his voice so deep.
And he's the alpha male.
Yeah, they was out there wrestling the wolves. She's like, ain't you gonna get out there and wrestle? He was like, no, that's for pecking order. They know who the alpha is. Like, you got darn right. When you the
Right.
alpha,
you ain't got to. You ain't got nothing to prove at all. So when Haley meets Jackson and Haley realizes that Jackson is the wolf that's been following her all of this time, Jackson then begins to explain their connection, which is amazing all in itself. So you give us the background on their connection. Give us the story.
So they're two separate packs, not of the same line, but they're royalty.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
And the reason why they got defeated is because they're such two powerful packs, they weren't aligned. So when they got attacked, they kind of lost as a race or, a species.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, to prevent that from happening again, these two strong families made an alliance. And Jackson was the prince at the time, and Haley was the princess. And they were betrothed. You know what? That's such a beautiful word. Like, I'm betrothed.
Why we don't do that anymore?
Right.
Is that what you was gonna say?
Yes.
Yeah, because free will is a mug.
Why everybody tell me I'm trying to get engaged, I'm trying to get married, I'm trying to get betrothed. No, I'm just playing. But So they were destined, they were pre-picked. And that's why she was like, I mean, it's kind of weird to see somebody who I've already been promised marriage to.
Right.
But looking at Jackson, I wouldn't have been mad.
I wouldn't have been mad either. And Haley's like, "Oh, you're following me around because I've got precious cargo." And
He's, I
she
don't care about
rubs
that
her
baby.
stomach. Yeah, he was like, "I do not care about that baby."
No. Now,
He's worried about her.
the thing about wolves, it depends on, what storyline you follow, but they're very protective of their mate. In real life, wolves mate for life.
Right.
So he's following her around because you're his mate.
Yeah, he's made it to her. That's
right.
You bae.
You bae.
The one and only.
The one and only. Look, let me tell you how strong that bond is. His mate is carrying another werewolf's baby.
A werewolf, half vampire.
Werewolf, half vampire, and 1/8 witch of a baby.
Correct.
And he's still like got Google eyes. Like this dude in love.
Yep. He has no choice but to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I'd be a werewolf.
Yeah. So.
But that's when, even in his explaining to her their connection, that's when Haley finds out that she's of royalty, that she's basically a queen.
Right. Now, in the midst of all of this, Celeste or Sabine is out here plotting. And, well, Elijah figures out who she is and calls her on the bluff.
Yes, Elijah goes to see Sabine and says, "Hello, Sabine. Why don't you give me one of your tours?"
Yes.
But he knows that Sabine is Celeste. But she humors him.
Yeah.
And she takes him on the tour.
Yeah. And she plants a kiss on him. And he was like, "Oh my God, what did you do to me?" And this mug put some, I don't know what she done.
I don't know. Her lipstick was poisoned.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, by the time you recover, you're going to have a choice. First of all, we attacking Haley.
Yeah.
We getting your sister Rebecca. And we don't took your brother Klaus. And you only going to have time to save one.
Which one is it going to be?
Who y'all think he going to choose?
We already know who he going to choose.
We know, but they don't know.
They might know. They watched it. I hope y'all watched it because we about to tell you who he chose. It doesn't work out well for Rebecca and Klaus.
They probably like, dang. But I got your boys back.
Okay.
He made the right decision.
Absolutely.
Why do you think he made the right decision? I want to see if our minds align.
Why do I think Elijah made the right decision in picking Haley?
Mm-hmm.
Because no offense, but Haley is a pregnant werewolf. I think that Rebecca and Klaus we're going to be okay regardless.
Right. That's my reasoning too. Like at the end of the day, they can't be killed.
Yeah, so they're fine. And they're fine. She's a werewolf.
And she's pregnant.
No disrespect to the werewolves, but vampires are definitely, outdoing the werewolves. And she's pregnant. So she's a pregnant werewolf.
Yeah. There was no other decision to make. Rebecca and Klaus can't be killed. So why would you choose to save them? They don't need saving.
At all.
No,
so he did.
So the choice was clear.
Yeah, he did. So the reason why he had to even save Haley is because the witches were aware that Haley was going to have a party. So the witches set up Haley and Rebecca at the party.
Yep.
So Rebecca goes into the woods to make out with a really cute werewolf named Oliver. Oliver was cute.
See, that's why Klaus be saying, he's like,
yeah, I know. That's why he'd be putting Rebecca to sleep for 52 years, because she definitely been making bad decisions. Like, why would you leave Haley to be in the woods to make out with a werewolf? You're a vampire.
I don't mind them making out, but I'm like, why you all in the woods? But like, dude, like,
I know you don't mind them making out. See, I mind the dabbling. You know what I'm saying? Because they never get along. Just like when we skip ahead, and we're not going to talk about it right now, but
they're sworn enemies.
Correct. So I have a problem with Klaus and his little hookup down the line, but we'll get to it. So yeah, I have a problem with that. She had no business being in the woods making out with a damn werewolf, and now Haley's trapped in the house with the witch's spell, so they can't get out.
Nope.
And now the house is on fire.
And then she's surrounded by
Haley
wolves.
is a pregnant werewolf. Like, You just gonna let your niece burn up so you could tongue the werewolf guy? Come on, Haley. She could at least stayed in the house and tongued them down.
To about Rebecca. Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
Rebecca all in the woods, away from Haley,
Surrounded by wolves.
surrounded by wolves, and they eat her ass up. They don't kill her, but she's in bad shape.
Yeah.
All of that is all Genevieve.
Yeah.
She's not playing. But you understand why though. Like you understand why Genevieve is the way that she is. So hopefully y'all have watched that too because what she does to Rebecca, I personally don't mind it.
Oh, because of what Rebecca done to her back in the day.
Correct. Yeah. I don't mind it at all. Um Episode 13 actually ends with Elijah coming and saving
Haley.
Haley from the burning house. And he also saves Jackson. Thank
Yes.
God.
And he said he gonna kill them all. He was talking about the witches.
Yeah, because the witches are wilding. Like Celeste, Genevieve, and Bastion.
Yeah, they was
Yeah,
wilding.
they're on a rampage right now. And all of this has to do with simply wanting to kill Klaus. Celeste is mad because Klaus killed her.
Yeah. Well, he
Uh
didn't technically do it, but he started the
he
whole.
started
Yeah.
the rumor about the witches that got Celeste killed.
Yep.
Um
Tunde came back because he wanted because Klaus killed his twin boys.
Correct.
So
So
that
he wanted
cycles
to
back
kill
to
Klaus.
Klaus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's not.
Celeste, she's mad at Rebecca, but again, it still goes with.
But
It's
they're
still with
all
Klaus.
there because of Marcel and Rebecca in the first place. And that is why I do not like Marcel. Because Tunde could have kept his little boys. Celeste wouldn't have lost her life to tuberculosis. And that was messed up. Because they had that's a horrible death. So Rebecca done them wrong.
Correct.
All because they were trying to be together and they were trying to get rid of Klaus.
Right.
So Klaus done what he done. Y'all brought somebody against me. He don't know. They
Right.
just enemies. So he out here being Klaus like.
He's
So y'all set them up for the
definitely
okie
being
doke.
Klaus-like.
So they mad at the wrong person.
Okay, so let's get into
Let's get
that.
into it.
That's episode 14. And episode 14, what was the title of episode 14? Long Way Back from Hell is the title to episode 14. 13 ends with Monique's crazy ass killing her aunt Sophie.
Yeah.
I told you I don't like Monique. Like ever since
Hence
she
why
came
I don't
back
like
from
the witches. How you just gonna kill your auntie out? She went all of that time to try to bring you back, and that's how you, bruh.
but something wrong to me seems like something wrong is wrong with Monique. Ever since she came back from the dead, she just seems like a totally different person.
Well, I didn't really know her beforehand, but yeah, she seems like a totally different person.
She always looks like she's just.
But I think it's just the witches. It's just the time and the generation of them doing good magic. Well, there ain't no such thing as good magic, but you know what I'm saying, like dark magic, and it just they've corrupted themselves. Does that make
Agreed.
sense?
Mhm.
So I think that's what that is. Um. So yeah, she was trying to get her out of the city because she knew it's about to be a war between the factions. And I've done all of this. I've put my life on the line to make sure that you're safe to get you out the city. And she was like, "Oh, you just want to run? You don't have the, oh, you just didn't have the faith." And then it looked like she killed her painfully. Girl started bleeding out of every hole in her face. So I can imagine where else she bled out of. But
right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Sophie, she was looking at Monique like, "Are you seriously killing me?" Am. Yeah, your niece.
With
Sorry.
no
and her thing,
remorse.
Nah, because she felt like she was doing the right thing. She was like, the other witches are saying that you're not, that you don't believe. So you can't stay. You got to go. And it was just that simple.
Yeah, the witches from the other side that she had spent time with while she was.
Yeah, the ancestors said that Sophie didn't have any belief. And so, yeah, she had to go.
So I can't stand witches. They're just so, they think they know it all. They're so self-righteous. They want to judge everybody, but they don't be accountable for their own actions.
No, not at all. But Genevieve is the star. She's the witch star
Yeah, the
of
redhead.
episode 14, Long Way Back from Hell, because episode 14 starts off
Oh, they got my baby. But
with
I'm glad I got a shirtless scene with Klaus laying up on the table with that
yes.
scar. And that
Oh
knife
yeah,
was in
with
his
that
chest.
knife in him.
That's the worst I've seen him look in a minute.
Yeah, that I'm telling you, that dagger, Tunde's dagger ain't shit to play with.
He was
Like
gray under the eyes
what? So
and the
episode
screams he
14
made.
starts with Becca waking up because in 13, the last time we see Rebecca, she is being attacked by the werewolves and she's just laying out in the woods. Elijah runs up. He doesn't see her. Rebecca's gone. So we see her again at the beginning of episode 14 and she wakes up in the hospital and she's looking around this hospital. So the hospital's deserted. It's gross. You know what I'm saying? It's an old abandoned hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And when she first wakes up, she sees it as an old abandoned hospital. But then, if you would have blinked, you would have missed it because then she begins to have a flashback to when she worked in the hospital as a nurse in 1919
Mm-hmm.
when tuberculosis was a thing.
Yeah.
And that's how she meets Genevieve.
Yep. And Genevieve bad because that's why they had her be attacked by the werewolves because the venom in their bite would have killed any other werewolf. But because she's an original, she can't be killed. But it weakened her to the point where Genevieve could get in her mind and project her thoughts
Correct.
and make her relive it so that Klaus could see inside her brain for the
Yes.
first time. That's why she couldn't say it was a lie.
Right. Oh, absolutely not. Genevieve wanted to make sure that
Klaus knew
that he could not doubt what it was that he was
why
seeing.
you got drove out of New Orleans. So
Yes.
this is where it was like like that slow pimple. They get up and right before it popped. This is where the pimple popped because now Klaus knows why or how their dad Michael
found
them in New Orleans and chased them out of New Orleans.
Correct. In the early 1900s.
Early 1900s.
When Klaus and Elijah were really making a name for themselves.
And the city was doing great. There was peace.
The city was doing great. They had built up the city. Him and Elijah had single-handedly helped build up the city.
Yep.
And it was thriving.
It was thriving.
And everybody was loving Elijah.
He was sleeping with a werewolf.
Yeah.
A chocolate one.
Yeah, he was.
Like, come on. You gotta get it, Klaus. Come on.
And so, not only were the people loving Elijah and Klaus he looked happy.
He did.
He looked like, finally.
Peace, Klaus.
Yeah, he did. He did look very peaceful. And Rebecca came and fumbled
the bag.
Yeah, she did.
Because Marcel get to talking that cash money. Like, I want to be with you, But Klaus ain't gonna let us be together. And get her head swole. Oh. They conspired this whole plan. And it was, because they wanted to be together. And guess what? He knew they was together all along.
He knew they were together all along.
An announcement and
said, wait, because that doesn't happen until later on. So we can't even talk about it and begin. I know. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because, they messed themselves up. They definitely did.
They did. They underestimated
Klaus,
and that's why that's why I understand where he is. Now, because they never gave him a bit of. It's like, for years he might have done things, but he was actually on
because he was
man.
Happy.
Yeah.
His happiness with his own self and the things that he was doing, it was spilling over into other parts of his life, which includes his family, which includes Rebecca, which includes Marcel. And so, things were about to be good.
Yeah.
But
they ruined it.
They did. They did ruin it.
Because Rebecca was selfish. Now, we could say Klaus was selfish because Rebecca had to stoop to that level.
Right.
But I beg to differ. I say it was Rebecca that was selfish.
I think I agree with you. Yeah. So let's get into Rebecca and these flashbacks because it gets real.
It gets real.
And and Klaus sees all of it. He literally sees Rebecca's thoughts.
Yeah. He lives it and sees it. And he never thought that she would betray him.
But he saw it for himself.
Yeah.
So it's 1919. This is where Rebecca, her flashback starts. And it starts with her meeting Genevieve. Her and Genevieve are both nurses in this hospital where I'm assuming it's war victims, because they were all men. There were no women in the hospital bed. So I'm thinking that these men went off to war and they were like maybe candy stripers, like what they were called back in the day, that were helping the men.
I'm not for sure. I just know they all had tuberculosis. Look like.
They did all. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in all of the flashback, let's just talk about that. You want to go through the whole flashback? We won't talk about any other scenes in this episode. You just want to get through the whole flashback?
Let's just get through the whole flashback.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
So she befriends Genevieve, and Genevieve was young, naive, and the fact that Rebecca was an original and she was talking to her, inviting her, like she was clearly.
I wouldn't say Genevieve was naive. I mean, she was a witch, and we have already established that the witches are something serious.
They are when you cross them. But when I say naive, because she didn't see past Rebecca befriending her to use her. Now, in the befriending, Rebecca started to feel bad because Genevieve was genuinely a kind person.
She was. She had a good heart.
She was gullible.
Okay.
I use the word gullible.
Yes.
And so she started feeling.
And her homegirl told her, though.
Yeah.
Her homegirl.
Which was Celeste in another body back then.
Because Celeste jumps bodies. So, yeah, her homegirl was Celeste in another body. But Celeste told her.
Yeah.
You can't trust. You know who she is.
Yeah.
Talking about Rebecca. You can't trust her. But Genevieve does. Go ahead.
Yes. So Genevieve trusts her. And as they become friends, she catches her and Marcel in the, I guess, nurse lounge. I don't know what it was at. But they was going at it.
Yeah, she catches them making out.
Yes. And Marcel is pressuring her like, you need to get her to do this spell so they can call Michael. And she's like, yeah, I want to, but, you know, I'm having second thoughts. And he was like, we could use another witch.
First, they have the discussion about, and I wonder how many times they've had these conversations, they being Marcel and Rebecca, but they have a conversation once again about them being together, which I don't know why they're always talking about it. It's one of those things like, do y'all really want to be together?
I know.
Because y'all are always talking about it.
I think y'all like the idea of being together.
Correct.
But we'll get into
when
it.
You get the opportunities to be together, y'all don't be together.
Right. That's why I don't like Marcel. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't trust his intentions. Long story short,
I don't trust his intentions either.
She talks Genevieve into doing the spell.
Okay. So wait. So they decide that the only way that they can be together is to get rid of Klaus.
Yes, and they call their dad.
The only way that they can get rid of Klaus, because they know they can't do it on their own, is to call, what do they call Michael?
The Destroyer.
The Destroyer, the vampire who kills vampires.
Yes.
Now pause. Why didn't I remember that Michael was a vampire? So when their mother did her spell and turned her kids into vampires, she also turned Michael into a vampire too?
No. Let me tell you what happened.
Tell me.
When she turned them into vampires, they became immediately immortal. At first, they didn't really care about them being immortal until they realized what they created. Because you got to, mind you, they didn't know what vampires were until they realized what they were, because it was a spell. Right. And so when they saw the drawbacks and they slaughtering villages and, then Klaus, his first kill turned into a werewolf. He a hybrid.
Right.
So they realized we created them.
Right.
And they in turn hated them, but Michael only hated Klaus the most.
Right. And he already disliked Klaus even before they were turned into vampires.
So he said, I'm going to make it my duty to kill Klaus. Mm-hmm. And the only way I could do that, he knew he was going to have to chase him throughout time, is that I have to be immortal myself. So he
Ah.
changed himself because while they were out here creating vampires, he would find vampires and hunt them down. Like, have you seen Klaus or have you
And
seen
then he
and
would also
torture them?
kill them
Right. And
because
so
he didn't want any vampires.
any vampires. That's why they call him the destroyer. He killed vampires searching for Klaus. So
Wow.
in that doing that, he changed himself so that he could be immortal, so he could chase them for eternity
Until he got
until
Klaus.
he got them.
So you think in his mind, once he gets Klaus, then he'll commit suicide or something and kill himself? Because I mean, his thirst is just as real.
Yeah, I mean that's what he claims. But
That's
the thing is, he only want to kill Klaus. Klaus,
right,
in his mind, for whatever reason, is the abomination because he's half werewolf.
right. And I hate it whenever I hear Michael calling Klaus an abomination. Like there's, I think it's, I think it's this episode or it
Yeah,
might
that's
be.
this episode that made me really sad because as a child, he didn't understand why his dad
Yeah.
hated him. Like he kicked him, he beat him
Yeah, and that's
mercilessly.
even before the whole vampire thing, before he even realizes that Klaus is
Exactly,
a werewolf or any of that, he was already just mean as hell to him.
because he said Klaus was weak.
Yeah. And basically, though, Michael also tries to play it off like he knew all along that Klaus wasn't his son. He knew there was something different about Klaus. And that could very well be true. It don't matter that the year was, 432. You can kind of tell if, I'm not saying all people can, but there have been some men who have their wives have gotten pregnant by, we'll say, the mailman, and they off the top know that's not my kid.
Yeah, he was one of
So
them.
so Michael could have known just off the rip, like, boom, that's not my son. But since you don't want to tell me, I'm gonna just treat him like crap.
And he did. He
And he
treated him
did.
horribly. And what was so great about her going through this thing and seeing this
Her flashback.
her flashbacks, it's like, yeah, you wanted to be with Marcel, but in her mind, I guess she thought that was their only way. And
No,
Genevieve is
yeah,
just loving giving Klaus
this front row
this
seat.
front row seat.
Yeah, yep. So Rebecca and Marcel decide that the only way that they can be together is to get rid of Klaus. Now, I don't know if they meant get rid of like permanently, like kill him, or because later on, Rebecca says we just wanted him to run you off. But I don't know if I believe that.
No, Klaus made her admit no.
Yeah,
I
I
was
know,
inside your
but
head.
she said she didn't know. I definitely think she knew. I think her and Marcel wanted Michael to come and to kill Klaus
Yeah,
so that they could be together.
yeah, yeah.
Which
But what
was not
happened?
which was not
Oh, and Rebecca stole the knife. So okay, so let me back up. So in the flashback, there was a knife that belonged to their dad. Rebecca stole that knife, and Klaus got beat to sleep
yes,
because she stole it.
correct.
And he remembered how nice and sweet she was to him, but she never
Admitted
admitted.
that to their dad that she was the one who stole it.
Right.
Yeah, cuz she always been sneaky. But I also wondered if it was because she was the only girl.
True.
Now I understand that we have, what's the other sister's name that we gonna meet soon?
Freya.
I understand that we got Freya, but Freya didn't grow up with them, so it was just a bunch of boys and Rebecca.
Yeah. But you
So
remember? Did you see the part where she was? It was storming.
oh, and Klaus was so sweet to her, but that's what she was saying. Like, where's the little boy that protected me and took care of me and was sweet and kind to me?
And that's what made me really sad, and that's what made me actually cry because that was who Klaus was.
It
That was
was,
the boy.
yeah.
Big heart, so much love, wanting to be loved.
Wanting
And
to be loved so much that the little figurine that he gave to Rebecca was something that he had carved to give to their dad. And in my mind, he carved it because he wanted his dad to like him,
mhm,
to say, this is a nice little horse, son, that you've carved for me. Like, it was, that made me cry because I saw what the little carving, what it was intended for. It was intended to get his father's love.
And he didn't.
No.
And somewhere in between there, I mean, the father beating him and just telling him he abomination. Like, it started young. It literally broke him, and that's what made me sad, because I was like, that's who Klaus is. He's still that
Little
little
boy.
boy,
Absolutely.
but he had no choice but to be tough, because their dad was not.
Nah, he was not easing back off of them. So in the flashback, we see where basically, no, actually, this is not in episode 14. I was about to give something away that happens in episode 15. My bad. So Rebecca and Marcel have decided to call Michael. They use Genevieve to call Michael. Genevieve does her spell to call Michael, and Michael doesn't show up
For 6 months.
for 6 months.
So they thought they was in the clear, because
They did.
what happened in them 6 months?
They thought that the spell didn't work. And during the 6 months, Klaus gives his blessing.
Yes.
He says, he does a toast to two people who think that they have been kind of like sneaking around behind my back, to my sister and, you know, I guess he's calling my son. I don't know. He said something very kind to Marcel, and he gave him his blessing for them to be together.
And that's when Rebecca realized, you know what I'm saying?
Rebecca
and this
panics.
is where she realized that she messed up.
Oh yeah, Rebecca panics and tries to get Genevieve to undo the spell. And Genevieve says it can't be undone. Like, the spell is done. Like, but we did this some months ago.
Right, like, bruh.
And even if she hadn't, it's done.
It's done. Like, we
Yeah.
did it 6 months ago. Like, bruh, like, I can't undo something that was done like 6 months ago. And Rebecca panicked and was like,
Rebecca panics, and in her panic and acting out of emotion, how Elijah says that Rebecca acts, she threatens Genevieve, basically thinking that the threat was going to make Genevieve undo the spell, instead of hearing Genevieve say that it can't be undone. She thinking Genevieve just doesn't want to undo it, which I don't understand. Rebecca be dumb.
And then she took the
oh god,
that tuberculosis cloth,
wait,
and put it over Celeste's mouth,
over Genevieve's mouth.
Yeah, I mean Genevieve's mouth, and then Celeste, or whatever name, Betadine, Bernadine, Phenidine, Promethazine, whatever her name was.
So Genevieve and Rebecca get to arguing. Genevieve says to Rebecca, just admit to Klaus what you did. Tell him that you called y'all's father.
Right.
And Rebecca's like, hell no.
You don't know who he is?
Right? If I tell Klaus this, he's going to kill me, and he's going to kill you.
So you dead anyway.
Because you did the spell. And Genevieve was like, that's when Genevieve realizes, like, oh, you used me.
Yes.
So since you used me, I will go and tell Klaus my damn self that I did this spell upon your request. And Rebecca says, oh, no, you won't.
Because she had a crush on Klaus.
Yeah, she did.
So
Genevieve was just going to use that to try to get in Klaus's good graces. And Rebecca says, oh, no.
Come here, tuberculosis cloth.
And takes a bloody tuberculosis cloth out of Genevieve's pocket and puts it on her face. While she's holding the cloth on Genevieve's face, Genevieve's homegirl walks in, who happens to be Celeste.
Yep.
And Rebecca, moving with vampire speed, is on Celeste's ass with the rag now on her face. And now both of them have tuberculosis.
And they end up in a ward, quarantined by themselves, and they die in the bed, looking at each other.
Which is crazy. Genevieve actually dies.
Yeah.
Celeste does not, because she's able to jump bodies. But that's why she brings Genevieve back.
Yeah.
When she takes over the when she takes over the harvest. she understands that Genevieve, she wants to repay, just like Tunde. She knew Tunde was mad as shit at Klaus, so he'll help me. She know Genevieve mad as hell at Rebecca, so she'll also help me.
Yep.
So yeah, those were two good witches to bring back. I'll give Celeste that. She pretty smart.
And Celeste done all of this because she want to break up the Michaels family. See, that whole always and forever
She
crap.
hate that shit.
She
Girl, every time she
But she was
say
like,
it,
"You love me. You said you love me, Elijah." And then when Klaus had me killed, here you is trapping because she don't jump body, so she don't live centuries watching you.
she don't watch them.
Like you back best friends with him, like I never existed.
Yeah, she definitely.
She's all the way talking about salty.
Yeah, she's mad, but I don't know shit. I think she just as mad as Genevieve because Genevieve hate Rebecca.
Yeah, she
as
kosher.
she should though. Rebecca did her dirty.
Okay, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or not, but you know my favorite part of episode 14, which you probably got to move to episode 15 due to time.
What is it?
The way Klaus bit into her wrist.
Oh yeah, see, you've jumped ahead. I think you've jumped ahead a few episodes actually.
Because I got it on my 14 notes, but yeah.
Oh okay.
Where he bit her wrist. Because you remember she had to take the dagger out of him, and he was weak, but she needed him.
This is when he's in the bed. Oh, so yeah, you've jumped ahead a while. So wait, Celeste. I'm sorry, Genevieve finishes her picture show.
Mm-hmm.
She says to Klaus, all right, basically, I'm going to let you up. You've seen what Rebecca had planned. So now it's time for you to go and take your revenge. So she's let Klaus up. Klaus is now walking through the hospital very angrily, screaming Rebecca's name at the top of his lungs because he's ready to kill Rebecca, as he should be ready.
Oh yeah, he was ready.
Yeah, as he should.
But the way he bit Genevieve wrist though to get his strength to go kill her, bruh, he was savage with it.
Oh yeah, when he bit Genevieve.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's why I was like, did I jump ahead?
Okay,
like he looked like
about the other bite.
You remember she gave her.
She was like, "You need your strength," and so she gave him some of her blood.
Right, yes. She gave him her wrist, and he looked like he was about to be all gentle. No,
he bit the hell out of her wrist.
But anyway, but she enjoyed it though. She didn't look like she was mad. But yeah, so he's walking through the hospital now. Rebecca is dazed because she's sick off that werewolf blood. Correct. But she know Klaus is coming to get her because she hear him.
Yes,
and that's when Elijah shows up.
Elijah shows up at the hospital to stop Klaus from killing Rebecca, and the only way Elijah is able to do that is he has to dagger Klaus.
Right, and the only reason he found out is because Marcel had to admit, which is why I think in a later that's where that anger stems from. But yeah, because and then Haley takes Celeste, so it's a lot going on.
It is. It's a lot going on, and yes, Elijah hates Marcel, I believe, just as much as we do, because Marcel does admit in in episode 15, season 15, Lord, in episode 15, that Marcel tells Elijah everything that Klaus now knows, that Klaus had firsthand account.
It was a movie.
It was. He just watched it all play out. So since we're in episode 15, we might as well jump into it. At the beginning of episode 15, Marcel and Rebecca think they're still in the clear. They don't know that Michael is actually really in town. They just don't see him, but he's there watching.
That's still them. Episode 14, I believe.
It's episode 15. Yeah, he's there watching them. In the flashback, still, because it's still episode 15 is still having some of the flashback. When they see that, when Michael first gets back, he confronts Marcel in the bar
and give him an ultimatum.
He does. You want to tell him about the ultimatum?
He said, "I'll spare you, and you can keep this city, But he said, "You better not hurt Rebecca. Don't worry about Rebecca. And to keep Rebecca safe, I'll let you have the city." And he was gonna kill Klaus. And I thought right there, and then I was like, "That's why I don't like Marcel."
Yeah.
But that makes sense of why he didn't run after them.
Because yeah, Michael
Because
gave
he
him the
got what he wanted.
Yeah,
He want
Michael gave him
because
the
they thought
city.
he killed him, but it was all a play. It was
Correct.
all a facade.
And he still wanted to kick Marcel's ass, so he still kicked Marcel's ass, but he didn't kill him.
No.
And he gave Marcel the city, and Marcel accepted.
Remember, because he stuck his hand. The last view that they had, Rebecca, Klaus, and Elijah, was Michael with his hands in Marcel's chest around his heart.
Yep.
And Klaus couldn't watch him rip his heart out. Rebecca was passed out because
Yeah, they were carrying her.
and so they had to leave. And so they just knew because Michael don't spare nobody. He's the
No,
destroyer.
He's the destroyer. He kills all vampires.
Right.
But he knew, because he's been watching them all of this time. He knew what Marcel meant to Klaus. So
Yep.
yeah,
but
knew
Klaus
that
took it. He got, and then I just want to understand his self-righteousness. Like, why are you so mad at them for leaving? Y'all left me. Y'all didn't. Dude, you had already made the bargain.
Yeah. So after Michael leaves the bar, he then goes to Elijah and says to Elijah, and of course Elijah is shook to see him. He then says to Elijah, "Help me kill your brother, who's an abomination." And Elijah's like, "I will never stand with you against Klaus." And Elijah said that shit with conviction.
He did.
He meant that.
He was gangster.
I
And
will
his
never
dad knew
stand
it.
with you.
And he didn't kill him.
No. And yeah, you're right. Michael knew that Elijah was not, no, sir, not happening.
And I think that's why Nick Klaus is like trying to get them to understand, like, y'all don't understand. Even when Father is what he called him. Oh, so you calling me Father? Even when Father comes after us, he's never trying to kill y'all. He has every opportunity to kill Rebecca and them. He just injures them or hurts them enough to keep them out the way because he's really trying to kill Klaus. And not only do he want to kill him, he want to torture him. Yeah. Because he could have killed him when he sat behind him at the opera.
Right, when he tapped him on the shoulder with the white oak stake. So we can talk about the white oak being the only thing that can kill the originals.
That could kill the originals, yes. We don't know about Klaus. He said that's what I had noted. He said possibly because he's a hybrid.
Right.
So it may kill the vampire side of him.
And what is this white oak? Where does it come from?
It's a tree.
From the year 432 when they was kids? When
no.
they first got turned into vampires?
No, it is a tree, but it was it's like a Vampire Diaries crossover.
Okay.
I think their mom, and I could be wrong, so guys, if I have to come back and correct this, I will. But I think the witch, their mom, casted a spell or made a spell to be able to kill them with this particular tree. And then when Klaus found out about them, he went and like destroyed all of them. But it's supposedly the tree that it works. It can kill an original, but we don't know if it'll kill Klaus because he's only different. But yeah, that is supposed to be able to kill an original. That's the only thing.
So we see that when Michael asked Elijah to help him kill Klaus, and Elijah says no, Michael stabs Elijah. What does he stab him with?
Just a regular stake.
Just a regular stake.
Which kills him, but he's a vampire. He's original. He'll come back.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering. I knew it wasn't the white oak because, of course, he comes back. But I was just like, he just stabbed his ass just because? I don't understand Michael. I do, but I don't.
He has no love for Klaus. Klaus is not his.
I understand, but why stab Elijah?
To keep him down, because I don't have time to fight you when I'm trying to kill your brother. I need you out of the way so I can focus on Klaus.
So it was to slow Elijah down.
Yeah, just slow him down.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I understand because I was a little bit confused. And like you said earlier, also in this episode, Haley has basically taken Celeste hostage because Celeste is, when she was in another body,
she was a Devereaux, and she's the last Devereaux because, well, Sophie died, but yeah.
Right. When she was in another body, she is the one who put the curse on the werewolves. So now Haley has her ass hostage because she wants her to fix it. She wants her to take the curse off.
Yes.
And that's pretty much all of episode 15.
Yes. That's pretty much how it ends. Let's see. Oh, here's a few quotes that I love from that episode
Mm-hmm.
when they said a good soprano is never dinner. That's what Elijah said when they was talking about the opera.
Yes.
The black werewolf girl was like, "There's some great sopranos that you would love to drink," and he was like, "A good soprano is never dinner."
Right.
I love that by Elijah. Um, and what hurt my feelings and really made me cry for Klaus is when Michael was like, "You just a bastard looking for a daddy." Bruh,
Yeah.
that was so mean and harsh. And then he told him, not only, I don't been here for some while. I see how the city praise your name. I see how the people here love you. I see how Klaus comes out of their mouths. Not only am I going to kill you, but I'm going
Mm.
to kill everybody who has a memory of you. He said, I'm going to wipe you from the face of this earth. So not only did he want to kill him, he wanted to remove him from existence. That's a whole nother level of hate. And then we wonder why Klaus like he is.
Yeah. Because that's the man who raised him. He didn't do a good job of raising him, but at the end of the day, that was the only father figure that he had in his life. Yeah, these episodes, there were definitely some sad parts. Definitely some parts where I was just like, dang, Klaus, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your childhood was like this. I'm sorry that Michael was your dad. I'm sorry because again, Michael was treating him like shit before they even turned vampire, before he even knew that Klaus was a werewolf. So that says to me that he knew something about Klaus because he didn't treat any of the other kids like that. He
No,
wasn't nice to them,
but he was.
but he wasn't how he treated Klaus either.
No, he was a tyrant to Klaus.
He
And
was.
the episode, I believe it actually ended with when Elijah got there to the house, when he had to dagger him, he told Marcel and Rebecca to get far, far away because he knew
That
now
way.
that Klaus had seen the truth.
Correct. And oh, he knew when he removed the dagger out of Klaus because he had daggered him that Klaus was going to be ready to kill Rebecca and Marcel,
So it ended
as
with
he
them,
should be.
him telling them to get far away as you can.
Correct. He said, "Tell him to run."
Yes, and they was in a car and they was about to go away.
Correct.
And Marcel was like, "We can't leave."
You think that's just funny? Because I don't understand it. Are
I
you
don't either,
serious?
but that's what I was saying. So I was
But
like,
it goes back to Marcel's selfishness. It goes back to Marcel because he's still what he. Marcel says that they can't leave without Davina.
yes,
That's what he says. For me, it goes back to Marcel still wanting to be the runner of shit, the ruler of shit. He can't do anything. He can't do too much without Davina. He needs somebody like Davina on his side. I understand Davina doesn't have as much power as she had before the harvest was complete, but Davina is still powerful in her own right, and we find that out later on down the episodes.
he dressed
So
it
he
up
knew
with,
something about
"We
Davina.
gonna need her to cloak us so Klaus can't chase us forever." But I was like, you could find any witch to do that.
You can
You
find
could go
any
to
witch to do that.
any
Absolutely.
city and get a witch to cloak y'all.
To give you a cloaking spell, yes. But
Wants Davina.
he specifically wants Davina,
And I thought
and
that
they
was strange.
stayed there.
Yeah, I was like, you
to get
still couldn't
Davina.
leave with Rebecca. I
Correct.
said, it's mighty funny you went back for Davina. You didn't go back for Rebecca.
Never, not one
time.
And
You chose immortality over her.
Correct. You chose New Orleans
Over
over
her.
her. Yeah, he's never went back for Rebecca, but he was going back for Davina, and I do believe that it was for a selfish reason. And now because he went back for Davina, they ass is all stuck in the graveyard.
Well, yeah.
And that's how
the
next season,
the next three episodes
that
we're gonna talk
I
about.
don't know why I always say season. I be
Because it feel like seasons. Because these episodes be so intense.
They are.
It's like watching a full season.
It really is. So that was episodes 13, 14, and 15. You guys make sure you come back and join us for episodes 16, 17, and 18. It's just getting good.
Getting good. So remember, subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace
Peace.
out, y'all.